Yo, what's up? Okay, so, um, as most of you guys know, I've stopped playing Dota, and the reason for that is not uh, because I felt that uh, it was a waste of time or taking up too much time or whatever. The reason for that is because I found it boring. Uh, I like Dota when you had options, right? I liked it when, excuse me. I liked it when picking a support wasn't just, oh, let's look at the two support heroes that deal damage, and let's look at the one out of those two that has a stun that is longer than 2 seconds. And some people might say, oh, well, there are so many other heroes. Yes, but there are none other that are viable in such a strict metagame that it currently is. And I don't know how many times I've gotten reported and thrown into low priority because people get upset because I pick fucking Bane or pick Jakiro. People are upset about that, like legitimately upset. And people also get upset if you do something that you feel like doing, right? For example, if you buy shit, if you buy a lot of shit on Bane, and people will be like, oh, what the fuck, man? Where are the supports? Oh, buy me some tomes. Yeah, okay, suck my dick. Like, I play games to have fun, man. I don't play games to fill some sort of empty void inside my heart. And that void can only be filled by winning. I had the most fun playing Dota 2 when the game was less about winning and more about having fun with your friends and figuring out crazy shit to do, right? Like, I had the most fun with Dota in Han. Which says a lot, because Han in its early days was better than Dota could ever be. Like, Han in its early days was better than what Dota 2 could ever hope to be. The hero mechanics were amazing, real talk. The Dota 2 hero mechanics are pretty outdated, and they don't get much room for creative sandboxy type of play, you know? I think that's a huge problem with it. If you take that and compare it to, for example, CSGO, or if you compare it to, uh, maybe not League of Legends, because they both suffer from the same kind of boring piece of shit game problem, but CSGO, StarCraft, people are coming up with interesting stuff, and they use different strategies all the time. In Dota 2, it's mostly, oh, uh, are you saying that there's no strategy in Dota 2? We'll look up this thing where Na'Vi picked Juggernaut in the TI finals. Yes, like that was 2012. That was 2012, and people are still pointing at that as like some sort of proof that Dota 2 is requires any sort of thought and not just following the guidelines of what is good. And this is going to be a ranty ass video, but I don't care because I personally think that I need to say what I'm saying about Dota because people are saying, "Oh shit, why did you quit? Why did you quit Dota? Come back to Dota." But no, I won't. I won't ever come back to Dota because I've grown out of it. I've grown out of it. That's simply it. I've grown out of playing the same shit every single game. Okay? I've grown out of having 4 people screaming at me for picking Bane instead of Skywrath Mage, or picking Jakiro instead of Lina, or whatever. I'm so fucking sick of it, really. So, instead of doing that, and still relying on your piece of shit team that screams in your fucking ear constantly that you need to help them, even when they wouldn't even be able to help themselves against anyone. When you can play games that actually reward individual skill as well as playing in a team. And I'm not saying that individual skill doesn't help in Dota, but I'm saying that it's severely inhibited by team play. And team play goes before individual skill. And to some people that's fine. To some people that's fine. But a team game, in my opinion, is at its absolute best when each individual gets recognition for skilled play, or gets scolded for unskilled play, which doesn't really happen in Dota 2 unless you actually actively have to go look for it, which nobody in their right mind does that. Like, people scream, oh, misery, 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 but yeah, those are in like two separate instances. They're in two separate instances where he nightmares some guy in order to kill them, like in two team fights, right? That's what, one good move during a 10-second period when he could have fucked up for the entire game. Yeah, I'm not sold on it. I'm not sold on Dota anymore. In fact, call at me if you need cheap Dota items. I'll hook you up. I want to go for another smoke, actually. So, I'm not finished with my rant on Dota 2, actually. Because I think a huge problem for me was the balancing of the game. I think that's what made me realize how shallow the game has become. Because the balancing of Dota 2 was great. Was great. It was at its absolute best around... actually, it was around its best at TI2, I think. TI2 or TI3. Actually, TI3. That was when the balancing was probably the best. Because what people now refer to as Rat Dota, where you just go and attack a base and shit, that was a strong tactic, but it had its flaws. The people were unable to find the flaws during the 3 days of which TI was happening. But it got destroyed pretty fast after TI. The problem, I think, with the balancing of Dota 2 is that too much effort is done in trying to balance everything, balance the sides in order to make the Dire faction not have Roche advantage, in order to make Radiant not have a better offlane. Because what happens then is that you lose the charm of advantage, right? You don't have something to fall back on. Another problem, in my opinion, is that you get gold from literally everything. You get gold from standing still. There are some times where I just say to my Sand King or whatever, dude, all you have to do is stand in the forest at the off lane, and you'll get more experience and more gold and a faster blink dagger than if you try to jungle it and die 3 times. And people might say, oh shit, yeah, that's unskilled sinking play, XD. But it's also the truth. Because you get so much gold for doing nothing. You get so much gold for doing nothing. You get so much gold for killing people who are on kill streaks. You shouldn't be rewarded for that shit, dude. If you got owned for 50 minutes and then you get 2 lucky kills and suddenly, oh shit, the scale are tipped in your favor now. Like, you shouldn't be rewarded for 50 minutes of shitty play. Come on, man. That's dumb. That's really dumb. What should be rewarded is stable play, right? Not glimpse of geniuses. Like... Stable play is what should be rewarded in Dota 2. And it should have been rewarded all the time. But they changed that. They changed that. And at the time, that was fine. Because it gave people more gold and people were happy. More items, right? More items. That's great. But the cost of this was that items were also worth less. If you understand what I'm saying. Because there was an inflation, right? So now everybody had an abundance of gold, and then they decide to do what? They decide to lower the cost of every single consumable in the game. Every single consumable in the game. So not only do they make it so everybody has... What the fuck was that, a sports car? Okay, so not only do they do so that everyone has an abundance of gold and abundance of like disposable income and they can do whatever the fuck they want with it, but they also make sure that the things that were a privilege at the time, a privilege and a game-winning thing, instead become something that everybody, literally everybody, could just pick up. No big deal. Like... I remember when buying wards in the beginning cost so much that you couldn't afford buying courier, sentries, and wards. That was the way I liked it. But they changed that. They changed that pretty fast. Or well, not fast, but it all happened so quickly. And people might think, yeah, that was shitty. You didn't even have gold to buy 2 branches and a tango at the beginning. No, but that was the good thing. You had to make sacrifices. Now you don't have to. You don't have to make sacrifices. You can just do whatever the fuck you want. There's no choice in Dota anymore. You just take everything. I think that's the reason I don't like it. The lack of choice. You don't sacrifice anything. Anyway. 14-minute rant. Holy shit. Yeah. I'm not going to continue this. Anyway. If you're willing to listen to my autism, then great. If not, great. You shouldn't. Peace.